Will Nintendo be able to compete whatsoever, or are they just straight up dead in the water? What is going on, guys and girls? It's Ghost Robo, and that is today's question. With Sony and Microsoft prepping their huge new consoles for launch later this fall, does Nintendo have any juice in the tank with which to compete? The Wii U started off very slowly and continues to do so. Nintendo Land, New Super Mario Bros. U, and Zombie U was a decent trinity of launch titles, but since then we've got virtually nothing. With Pikmin 3 pushed back to late summer in August, and hardly anything else on the release schedule, it's a little bit dire for a system that is selling at a very paltry level each and every month. Now, Nintendo has done well with the 3DS, advancing that system to 8 million total consoles sold in the United States in its first 2 years, which actually, surprisingly, beats the DS by 1 million units, which is quite crazy because the DS was a huge, just monster seller, and the fact that the 3DS has vaulted itself from a very slow start into this powerhouse is pretty impressive. Can they do the same thing with Wii U, and how will they do it? That's what I'm kind of looking at today. And, the 3DS really catapulted itself to the top of the handheld heap and frankly, to the top of Nintendo's focus with a bunch of good games. Luigi's Mansion 2, Fire Emblem, the upcoming release Onslaught. We had the Link to the Past 2 be announced. We have the new Mario & Luigi RPG coming this summer, a new Mario Golf game. Animal Crossing, there's a whole lot of things coming out. Mario Bros. Land 3D, or Mario 3D Land, or Super Mario in the Space Sky 3D Magic Trophy Trip, whatever that game was called, was fantastic. And slowly but surely, they've really expanded their library to include quite a few very fun and very handheld-centric, unique to the system titles. Can Nintendo do the same thing with Wii U? Basically, what they've relied on intensively, and they always have done this, is their core franchises. And something that I found kind of interesting, as people kind of talk about Call of Duty being annualized, Assassin's Creed being annualized, all these games seeing sequels and pseudo-sequels and just cash-ins. Really, the stealth company that does this more than anybody is Nintendo. Basically, their entire company is based around releasing new Mario, new Zelda, new Metroid, new Donkey Kong games, with a few, secondary and tertiary franchises, the Pikmins, the Luigi's Mansions, the Animal Crossings. It's basically rinse and repeat constantly. Pokemon is almost the exact same way. And you don't really think too much about it, probably because they dress it up in such a nice and new fashion. They mess with the graphics quite frequently, they mess with the gameplay styles, they switch back and forth between 2D and 3D. But when you stop and think about it, as much nostalgic clout as these series have in most gamers' minds, they're really just milking franchises. If they numbered them, we'd be on like Mario number 30 right now, Zelda number 25. It would be crazy, but you don't really view it in the same fashion because they really try to, at least on a surface level, mix with the formula. Now, granted, there are plenty of people that complain that Zelda has not really evolved, Mario has not really evolved for years, and I kind of sympathize with them. I too often feel the same way and wish Nintendo would either do something crazy or introduce a new character, a new IP, just branch out in some freaking fashion, and they seem very reluctant to do so because it's what works. The 3DS started off, I can't even remember what games I played in the early days. It was like Pilot Wings, Resort or Pilot Wings Adventures, whatever that 3DS game was called, the Ghost Recon game. I played, there's nothing memorable whatsoever from the early days of that system. An Ocarina of Time 3D remake, things of that nature, but nothing really stands out. And now all of a sudden, Mario Land 3D comes out, New Super Mario Bros. 2 comes out, Luigi's Mansion 2 comes out. You got all this buzz and excitement around their 2013 release schedule, including that new Zelda game, hopefully, including Animal Crossing, including a bunch of Mario and Luigi titles throughout the summer and the fall. And you're like, dang, this system's back on track. And how did they get back on track? Well, they got back on track by going to their roots and staying true to their big hitting franchises, leading me to believe they're going to do the same thing with Wii U. There already is big rumor / truth that they're going to announce a new Mario 3D game for Wii U, a new Mario Kart for Wii U, Smash Brothers for Wii U, and they're bringing back their typical stable of leading horses to kind of carry this system into some sort of relevancy. And I think it will do that. As much as I've been a naysayer for Wii U, I think that going into E3 and announcing 3 to 4 very big franchise titles in a new light with better graphics the first time in HD, they really will build a bunch of momentum and hype. And if they can stay on a good development cycle and actually release 2 or 3 of those this holiday season, if they can put out that Mario Kart and maybe the Mario, or put out the Mario and a Metroid or whatever else they announce at E3 in a few short weeks, they might be in okay shape. But what has me most confused by this and most concerned is that as much as I hate them relying on their core franchises and never really stepping out of the box, it's what works tremendously for them. And probably more so than any other company. I feel like they bear the brunt of a lot of dumb jokes about that they're, kidifying their system, or they're going too family friendly, or they don't really do anything new. But for the most part, I feel like majority of the gaming world accepts the fact that, hey, a new Zelda is really exciting, a new Mario is really exciting, and does not get the same amount of hate that something like Assassin's Creed 4 receives, or something like, whatever, Guitar Hero 5000, Rock Band, even the Call of Duties garner quite a bit of disgust for their rinse and repeat formula, but really Nintendo does a lot of those same things. And I wonder if there is any sort of way that they could catapult themselves further forward by expanding out. If they do so well with these current franchises and releasing them, and they can propel the Wii U in the same way that they propelled the 3DS, could they go even farther with a new series, a bunch of new IPs, or is it merely that nostalgic clout that they have built up over the last 20, 30 years that gets people to be buying the system for these games specifically? It's like, this seems to happen almost every time, right? They release the system, it has some gimmick, it doesn't really do that great, and then they start pouring out the Nintendo titles, and here it comes. And again, this creates all sorts of problems, and while it will probably vault the system into relevancy, does third-party support again die down? Because all that really sells and all that really matters is the Nintendo games. We have the Yoshi take on Kirby's Epic Yarn, which looks really cool. These things will all sell very well and probably bring the Wii U up at least a good few notches by the time Christmas 2013 rolls around and Black Friday 2013 roll around. But is that what we want? Do core gamers like myself care in that fashion? And I have to sadly say, as embarrassing as it is, yes, I really do. I wish I could say no, but a new Mario, a new Zelda, those things get me going. I have a jonesing for HD Mario and what else Miyamoto can do in a 3D space, and a new Zelda, what are they going to do with the graphics? Are they going to evolve the gameplay? And we're kind of led on by this string of hope, like maybe one day they will change the formula, and then they never do. But like Link to the Past 2, that 3DS game looks awesome. I really can't wait to play that. I like the styling of Link in those games. I think it could be a lot of fun. Seems like they've got some cool 3D mechanics as well. And so they're putting themselves in this position, which is kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, a revolving door, a cycle of system doesn't really do good because it doesn't have a whole lot of third-party support, a whole lot of really cool games, a whole lot of industry love. People kind of bash on it. Oh, we release a ton of Nintendo games. All the younger fans really buy into this. All the nostalgic hardcore guys buy into this. And then we have a platform full of Nintendo titles, and now there's a dearth of good third-party because everyone's just buying Nintendo, and who wants to develop on a platform that only sells these few marquee titles. And furthermore, in this instance, the Wii U is so much less powerful than the Xbox 720 and the PlayStation 4 will be. You run into a big problem for developers. Like, do we want to develop with the newest tech, the highest level mass market share? We can put this on PC, we can put it on PlayStation 4, we can put it on 720. You're not going to see many multi-platform games, at least as far as I know, that go Wii U, PlayStation 4, PlayStation, or Xbox 720. Sure, PS3, 360, Wii U, that's fine. And even those sometimes run kind of shoddy. But when it gets to this next generation, multi-platform, I think, will virtually go away. And so, again, you're falling into this pit that is basically Nintendo only. And it might work for them, which is the strangest part of this whole thing. Like, as much as I don't like that, as much as most people think that that's a bad thing and shies away from what we'd really like to see the Wii U become, like, hey, there's really cool mechanics that you can innovate upon with this Wii U gamepad. Let's see what, good studios can do with it, and yet we're probably going to devolve to Nintendo games, and they'll probably be great, and they'll probably do awesome things, but again, it seems like we're just setting ourselves up for another generation in which the Nintendo console is sort of in its own walled garden, in its own little universe, playing the Nintendo games, and everybody else doesn't want anything to do with it because it's a hard sell. And even though they've tried to make strides at the eShop and, doing things for indie developers so that they can make it easier for them to publish their games and easier to make more money, again, it's running into that same thing, like, the system is not selling well because it's not what people really want, so now we're going to give them these games that we know because of some backwards hypnosis, brainwashing, I don't even know, childhood love, they're going to buy. Like, everyone's going to buy it. They release a new Mario, a new Zelda, it's going to sell like crazy. And again, it's this self-fulfilling prophecy of system comes out, isn't really that made well for the main gamer crowd, and so then time to start releasing the onslaught of Nintendo, which then makes third parties shy away even more, which then creates this ecosystem where it's only Nintendo games, but they're selling better, so they believe that's the way to go, and it's a big mess. And I don't know how they ever fix it, or if they ever will fix it. As much as I have hope that Nintendo one day will become on equal playing field, at least from a hardcore gamer standpoint, again, as Sony and Microsoft, I don't see it happening. They don't seem willing to take any risks. They're an Eastern-based company that seems very reluctant to evolve or innovate in any way. Of course, they evolve and innovate with their consoles, and, they try 3D, they try motion, they try things that no other company really wants to try or has been willing to try. But on the game side of things, when it comes to software, which is really what drives the system and drives my involvement with that piece of hardware, they don't really want to take any growth steps. It'll be a very interesting E3. If we get a bunch of new Nintendo titles that are recreated or re-represented in really fun, innovative ways, awesome. Most likely, though, you're going to see better graphic versions of Wii games with your favorite characters, Donkey Kong, Mario, Samus, who am I forgetting? Link. And maybe, the slim chance we get a Kirby game or a Wario game. There is a WarioWare style game coming later this year for Wii U already, so scratch that. But basically, the stable of your favorite Nintendo faces with better graphics, because they know that's what works, they know that's what sells. And this is kind of a problem across the industry in terms of, companies want to make money, ultimately. Publishers are driven by dollars, and so they do what works. And so long as everyone buys into that, that is what they're going to keep making. But with the case of the Wii U, that's the only thing you can buy, so you buy it, and it creates this big mess where they profit. I guess we sort of profit in the sense that we get cool Nintendo games, but it never will take that next step, never gain that oomph to move into a level of true competition with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox 720. It's kind of sad for me. I grew up on Nintendo. I love Nintendo. I still feel like I'm most excited for brand new Zelda, brand new Mario, more so than any other franchise. Just after a while, man, you feel like you're just rinsing and repeating. You feel like you're running through the same obstacle course over and over again, whether it be a Legend of Zelda game, a Super Mario game, a Donkey Kong game. It's getting a little bit old, and I wonder how long they can hold out. And perhaps there is the alternative, which is that they do all this stuff and whatever, fancy up their Nintendo characters, and it doesn't work, and then where are they left? In complete devastated disaster. I don't think that'll happen, but there is the possibility that they release all these new Nintendo character games. People are tired of it this time once and for all, and then the Wii U is really sunk. I don't know where that leaves them, because for as much as they touted third-party support, as much as they touted all these cool titles, and there are some interesting things coming out, like Bayonetta 2, and a new Xenoblade series game. What else is there? Not much, and you don't really hear people saying such great things about it. And man, if I was Platinum Games and Nintendo working on that Bayonetta 2, I'd be like, dang, this is in trouble. I wish we had signed on to make it multi-platform, because I don't know, maybe the only reason they made that game is because they got enough money from Nintendo for the exclusive, but they got to be shaking in their boots about how many copies of that game they're going to actually sell, which is sad. It's a very awkward thing with Nintendo, the way that they always seem to create these systems that do follow the same schedule basically over and over again. The DS, the 3DS, and now the Wii U seem to be following a very similar timeline for their model of success, how they achieve that success, and then where their sales go. And if they all go through the roof, I guess that's great for Nintendo. But I just wish that they would eventually be able to get to the point where they innovate beyond just better graphics, beyond just some silly gimmick, and create a new kind of game. I feel like they have some of the best minds in gaming to do that in a fun fashion that doesn't involve gore, that doesn't involve shooting. They really are the only people that are trying to make AAA games, for the most part, in kind of a very non-typical, non-mainstream fashion, at least in the sense of horror and violence. And sure, there are other companies that do that, but the entire focus of Nintendo is hey, let's make a game that is very mechanic-driven, that is very true to the nostalgic roots of gaming on the, original NES and the Super Nintendo, and that's really admirable, and I really like that about them. I just wish that they would take that genius and use it to innovate, use it to really create new experiences, new adventures, and it seems like, based on the trending of the 3DS, which picks up steam more and more as they announce more and more tried and true Nintendo titles, that the Wii U will follow similar fashion. And as down as everyone is on the Wii U, this is a mega corporation we're talking about. This is still one of the big three. This is still Nintendo, who has made a crap ton of money on the Wii, on the DS, and now the 3DS. So you have to imagine they do have some cards up their sleeve for E3. Again, new Mario, new Smash Bros., new Zelda, new Mario Kart. Those things are going to be big, big pushers this holiday season if any number of them come out. And Nintendo will probably get back on track. I've heard from quite a few people that they expect Nintendo to get back on track this holiday season. As dire as it seems now, that will not last forever. And you have to imagine they're lining things up to feel the same way. And it seems like one of those things like when they can't rely on anything else to do well, they just hunker in, bunker down, lock everyone to their chairs, and just make these Nintendo games, typically with very long development cycles. But when they come out, they're usually very, very good and very well received. And I don't know, maybe it's a Japanese thing, maybe it's just a Nintendo thing, maybe it's just a weird cycle of multiple millions of things, but I just feel like we're in an inescapable circle with Nintendo, and I don't know how that will be broken. I'm very excited for the PlayStation 4 launch and Xbox 720 launch because I hope they bring some new things to the table, not only on the hardware and OS side of things, but also on the software side of things. When you have that much more RAM, that much more power, can you innovate with a new kind of experience that isn't just point and shoot or, run around and get scared? Can they really bring something new to the table? And sure, you'll have all sorts of games that are first-person shooters and horror games and third-person shooters and blah, 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 sports and puzzlers and whatever. But really, can they use that power to create something brand new, or at least a new series or new IP that I can really get behind? Because I don't have much faith in Nintendo in terms of the innovation department, at least when it comes to brand new series. What do you guys think? Do you think Nintendo will be successful with this model? Do you like the fact that all they do is rely on their stable of friendly faces, or do you wish they would take some risks and use their brilliant development houses to make a new kind of game, or at least bring out a new kind of character that isn't named Mario, Luigi, Samus, or Link? Let me know in the comments below. Hope this has been fun for you. I've covered a lot on the PlayStation 4 lately and the 720, and just want to give you my thoughts on the Wii U, which is basically, I think they're going to release a bunch of cool Nintendo titles and get back on track, at least in some capacity. That's what history tells us, that's what the rumors tell us, and that is what I think. Let me know your thoughts, though, in the comments below. Excited to hear what you have to say. Until next time, guys and girls, have a fantastic day. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. And until next time, we will see you all later.